Hey guys, Political Junkie 2414 here, and welcome back to another 2024 election-related video. So today, I know that I am several days late on this one, but I'm going to be talking about Kamala Harris's recently announced running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. I've put out a couple community posts over this week. I was on vacation, so I was not able to record a video, even though I knew that the running mate would be selected during this time. But nonetheless, I'm going to keep this video pretty short. I don't really have a lot to say about Tim Walz that I haven't already said. I endorsed him for Kamala Harris's running mate before she made her decision, but I was pretty convinced that she was going to pick Josh Shapiro. I think the only time I had serious doubt you know, was that night before, it was Monday night, the night, on the 5th, when, betting markets shifted towards Tim Walz, but I didn't want to get caught up in a last minute, surge, because usually when that happens in elections, it doesn't go too well. And it doesn't end up proving true. Usually, it's better to stick to what you previously held, unless there is there is empirical evidence that something has changed quite rapidly. But usually that does not happen. Um, as a Democrat, I would say I'm going to try to keep this video as unbiased as possible. Because I try to be an unbiased channel. But obviously, there are limits to that. All of us have our own biases and our opinions, and that's a good thing. But either way, I personally am happy with Harris's decision. She picked an older, well, I guess not old. Tim Walz and her are the same age, but she picked a white, a white Midwestern man, um, who served in Congress, who served in the National Guard, who was a high school football coach and a high school social studies teacher. He um he was, of course, he was the top Democrat on the House Veteran Affairs Committee, and he is now Minnesota's governor, and he just won his second term back in 2022, a race that I remember very, very well. But you look at the electability of Tim Walz, and I think a lot of people, the consensus is that Walz was the right pick. There are some who say it still should have been Shapiro, but I honestly disagree. I think that a vice presidential running mate, based on the kind of candidate that they are, can appeal to outside of their home state. I think that Shapiro and Harris, while they were close, and while Shapiro would have been a decent choice, he had too much. I think that he was more interested in setting up his own brand. And, I think Tim Walz is better for playing second fiddle to to a woman. He's a better pick for that, and he's a very he has longer record than Josh Shapiro, and that was one of the reasons why I personally endorsed him, because he has a long, a 12-year congressional tenure. He has 6 years as Minnesota governor, and he's gotten a lot done in his state, a lot of progressive priorities, um, while while also appeasing centrists in the party. Like many Democrats, he's shifted to the right or to the left on key issues. When he was elected to Congress first in 2006, and this southwestern Minnesotan district, he was not expected to win. I'm sorry, I'm going off track. Well, let me I'm going a little fast. Let me back it up just a minute. He was in the beginning of his career, up until 2018, he was a member of the NRA. He had an A rating from them as a lawmaker. But after the Parkland, Florida school shooting, or I think it was a school shooting, correct me if I'm wrong. That was so long ago. It's all the details are blurry. But he basically stepped away from the NRA and gave and donated all of the money that the organization ever had given him to charity. And so now he has an F rating from the NRA. And as a conservative Democrat in this district, or not conservative, a moderate Democrat in this district, Walz was able to fight for his constituents. He won re-election in 2010, the red wave year that consumed so many other Democrats, swing seat Democrats, and the fact that Walz was able to hold on was quite impressive. It showed that he was well liked in his district, and he continued to win. His last race was in 2016 for the House, and he almost lost, but he was still able to hold on in a district that Donald Trump won pretty handily in the concurrent presidential election. And after he left to run for Minnesota governor in 2018, the seat flipped. But during his time as governor, he's gotten quite a bit done. He's passed a bill granting or providing every student with free school lunches. He's legalized marijuana. He's he has put in universal background checks in his state, and he was getting a lot done even before last year. And for context, the first in Walz's first term, he was dealing with a Republican majority legislature. So he had to work across the aisle to get things done, and he was the rank. And it's no surprise that Walz would work well with the other side, given that he was ranked the seventh most bipartisan member of Congress by I think it was the Lugar Center. I can't remember, but it was some bipartisan organization. So during his time in Congress, he was very, very much in the middle. And remember, that's out of 435 members. Being seventh, I think, is a very, very commendable thing, for a lawmaker. It shows that he was very productive for his constituents, and he's been productive as Minnesota governor. So I think he has a long resume that Kamala Harris wants. I think electability wise, he doesn't do as well in the working class districts as, say, someone like Josh Shapiro. He has gotten mostly in his 2022 reelection race, he got very similar numbers in some rural counties that Biden had lost in 2020 to Trump by large margins, and Walz didn't do much better. And when you compare him to other, Midwestern Democratic governors, Tony Evers, Gretchen Whitmer, Josh Shapiro, definitely Walz did not overperform Biden's 2020 numbers by that much. In fact, I think it was less than a percentage point. Biden won Minnesota by, I want to say, seven, yeah, seven just on the dot. 7.1. Walz won it by about eight. Whereas, there were larger overperformances in these blue wall state and these, free Trump Biden states. But, nonetheless, I think Walz appeals to he balances the ticket well. I think that he has a very, he tells it like it is. He has a very blunt, way of communicating messages. And one thing that stuck out to me, a winning message for Democrats on abortion, an issue where they're already excelling with voters, is the fact that he talked about, um, abortion as a personal choice, and telling others to mind their own damn business, which I think is a very effective argument for a candidate running on abortion rights. So I'm impressed by that. I haven't really heard a lot of national Democrats talking about abortion rights in that way. I've heard them use a lot of big words like reproductive freedom, which I don't think is as I don't think electorally is as smart for them, because I think that at a certain point, when you're getting into the little itty bitty words, uh, it's kind of hard to. The message gets lost in all of the complexity of your sentences and of your rhetoric, and so I think Walls kind of simplified it, and he said it in a way that can really further consolidate that support for pro-choice, pro-choice values. I would say, so that's a good news for Democrats that they have that effective communicator on abortion. He's also been good. I think one of the reasons why he was chosen was he started the trend of Democrats calling Republicans weird a couple weeks soon after Harris became the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party after Joe Biden dropped out, and so that put him up in contention for this job. But overall, I really think that Walz is, like I said, an effective communicator. He's from the Rust Belt, but I think that when it comes to electability and balancing the ticket, I think Shapiro honestly is a little self-serving, and I think that that was internal reports kind of suggest that he was. There were concerns from a lot of Democratic lawmakers like John Fetterman and from Harris's campaign team and vetting team that Shapiro would not play second fiddle to Harris very well, whereas someone like Walz, who didn't know Harris very well, gave a, gave her a very strong impression of his record and of his story. Also on the abortion issue, he's I'm sure that most of you already know this, but his wife, that he and his wife had two children through IVF, which, definitely can bring that issue even further into the spotlight. Um, so, overall, it's been a very crazy couple of weeks for this presidential campaign. Very, very, a very, very strange time to be alive for sure. After I never thought that Joe Biden was actually going to drop out of the race until maybe a couple of days before it happened. Um, but it's amazing how the tone has changed from Democrats being so dreading on a certain Trump presidency to now having, now leading in the polls. And of course, that's not to say that Trump still can't win this election. He absolutely can. But the tides have changed for sure. And I will make an updated prediction for the presidential election very soon, following this pick for Tim Walz as VP. But yeah, I know this video was a little disorganized as it usually is. I like to just kind of get to the point and get myself talking about things, talking about the subjects instead of going through a long process of making a script because I find that usually just doesn't help at all and it just wastes time. It's better to just get into it. Um, so, yeah, I think Tim Walz is a pretty strong running mate for Kamala Harris. He's not from a swing state, but I think that he has appealed to the Rust Belt, and I think that he has appealed to voters and independents in general, and he can, balance the ticket as an old white man, albeit he is the same age as Kamala Harris. Um, and I think that he can really hammer home some messages that Harris would not communicate as effectively. I think that he's kind of got a little bit of a Joe Biden. He's kind of like a Joe Biden-ish politician, but without the baggage of Joe Biden as a candidate. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, I apologize for how disorganized these videos have become, but that's just kind of my style. I just kind of have to get into it instead of drawing up a script because it just doesn't help me for whatever reason. I'm sorry. It's just the way things are. But I will include this article in the description below for anyone who wants to read it. I've noticed that I haven't been including the political articles and not giving them credit, or not, citing them, in my YouTube videos, which I kind of think is a little disrespectful to them. So I'm going to start doing that, even if I say it's from Politico, even if you see the title, make it easy for you guys to access. Just because I think that that's good. It's good etiquette. But yeah, again, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to, hit the thumbs up if you did, enjoy and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share this video with someone who you think would enjoy it. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things politics. See ya.